Good morning. Welcome to day 2 of week 3. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of that. Grades have been posted for both week 1, including the extension, and all of week 2. Week 2 ended on Sunday at midnight. That would have been the 8th. So now we are in day 2 of week 3. Keeping track of the days is pretty important. All of my courses started on the same day, which was the first day of the term. In this way, then, I don't have courses that get behind for one reason or another. I found if I stagger those start dates, it becomes very confusing. So that's probably a good way for you to keep track of it. What week are we in the term? And when did courses start? Well, they started on that Monday. If you've had a chance to take a look at your grades from week 1 and week 2, you'll see that there is feedback in the grade book that gives you tips for improvement and talks about what the goal is. For instance, with regard to postings, you need to be out there on 3 different days responding to 3 other people about their postings. Now, a word about the postings. First of all, run spell check. I am taking off points for no attempt whatsoever to look at proper spelling, grammar, and punctuation. This is a college level course and you should be writing like it's a college level course, so keep that in mind. That may be one reason you're not earning the total points. The other thing is that we've had a lot of very good substantive discussions on some of the effects of globalization and the pros and the cons and the different considerations when doing business on a global scale. However, there are postings that say, good post, I agree, that's nice, I really liked your article. Those comments are nice, but they don't add anything to the discussion, so you have to keep in mind that the purpose of what you're doing is not simply a mechanical response, but rather to add something to the discussion. Point out a dynamic that someone else hasn't pointed out and say why it's important. Essentially, you want to answer the so what question, and I'm not seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing some of it. That's the point. That's what I'm looking for. So it's not about the word count, because I can guarantee you I'm not out here counting words. However, if you put up one sentence and it doesn't have any substance at all or add anything to the conversation, you won't be earning full points for that. So please take a look at the feedback and refrain from just recapping each other's articles, because that's more like a book report that we would do in junior high, and that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in what's significant about the article, how it relates to the material, and what can we learn from it. That's the whole point. These scoop-it articles are intended to offset your book, which is static, meaning it stays the same, and offset that with current events, which are dynamic, meaning there's a lot of change. And if you just watch the news, you can see that things change daily, if not hourly in some cases, depending upon the industry. So understanding the implications of what it is you're looking at is really the higher level skill set that we want to get to. You want to analyze it, evaluate, and then create a response or a reaction to what's been presented. So keep that in mind. If you're still having issues with Scoop It, we need to get in touch. Probably the best way is to send me an email, and often when people are having difficulty, I'll say, can I call you? When I do call you, please know that my number will not come up with a caller ID, as most of the time I'm using my personal phone. So we'll have to set a time, or at least you'll have to be expecting my call. My office hours are a little strange this quarter because my schedule is kind of all over the board. So I do work a lot during strange hours, and typically I try to get back with students within 24 hours. So most of you have already experienced that, and I've talked with many of you on the phone and face-to-face. So if you're having issues, let's make contact. Sometimes email just doesn't cut it. And then the other thing is, in week 5 you will have an exam. I would advise you to go in and take the practice quizzes as many times as you can possibly manage. The practice quizzes, or the quizzes that you see each week, are from the same pool of questions you're going to see on your exam. And there will be 100 multiple choice questions on the exam. The course is designed that way, and I have yet redesigned it and launched it with the redesign. So that's how it exists at the moment. And you would really be wise to keep up on your reading and make sure that you're hitting those quizzes as much as possible. And don't just go in and keep submitting and submitting and submitting until you get that 10. That's not the point. The point is that these are study tools, and I know that some instructors give you a once and done sort of a thing. You can take the quiz only one time. I feel that they're more of a study tool than anything else, and that's where the value comes in. So you would be well advised to cycle through those quizzes for chapters 1 through 4. It's in week 5 that we have our first exam. Chapters 1 through 4, and make sure that you have a grip on the vocabulary. I think that that would be the way that I would approach it, is to try to look at it from a term-based study plan. Some of you might like to make 3x5 cards or put it out there on Quizlet, whatever it is that you think would work, but you really need to study for this first exam and the second exam, of course, as well. It's very important, and I've found that people are usually pretty shocked when they go through the first round of exams. So start now, don't wait. Everything is out there for the remainder of the term except for some of the details on the team project, and we don't launch the team project until week 5 after you've taken your exam. So be advised that there will be a little bit of change in the structure. What's there will stay there, but the team project will be added on to it. I will assign your teams, and you know, it's like anything else that I do with team projects. You will have peer review. So in other words, if somebody isn't pulling their weight, they can't possibly get a passing grade. That comes out at the end after the peer review. I don't believe in assigning team projects without some sort of recourse for students who do their work, in terms of looking at those who don't. From the student standpoint, I've been there, done that, hated it, and it's real life. Unfortunately, that's kind of how it goes. A lot of people don't like team projects for that reason. I personally, as a student, don't like team projects for that reason, but I didn't have instructors who felt strongly enough about the concept of leveling the playing field to have some sort of a peer review mechanism. So that's the point of that. If you have questions, send me an email, and if it's a question that's kind of obscure or ambiguous, and I'm not sure what you're asking about, I will ask you if I can contact you by phone. So feel free to use the chat too. That's the other thing, the texting, the group me. I get a lot of questions that way, and for some reason it's very easy to respond to those. Plus everybody can see what it is that we're doing. Group me will be used during your team projects, so it's just another way to communicate, and there are some people across classes who've found it to be useful. So if you have any questions, my point is don't wait, and try to get ahead if you can. The things that are out there for coming weeks are the same across the board. The Scoop It assignments, the quizzes, that sort of thing. So do try to get ahead so that you can get a good footing before your first exam, and then you can be in a good position when we launch the team project. Thank you, and keep up the good work.